Hey, everybody, it's Rick, especially all you Twitter folks who can't see me in my ordinary Twitter context because Elon is a delicate, soft-handed snowflake who can't read or who is so scared of people confronting him about his little Tesla hitting her car that he just cries like a little baby. So anyway, as you know, the big story of today is not that Donald Trump's lawyers went to court over the illegal deportations they engaged in this week or last week, and that they got their asses whipped like a rented mule by the court. But it's this story that popped up in the Atlantic from Jeffrey Goldberg, who is a serious person. At some point before the strikes on the Houthi targets in Yemen, and by the way, there are no fans amongst of the Houthi anywhere. They added, Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, added Jeffrey Goldberg to a signal chain. The people on that signal chain were Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, J.D. Vance, a whole variety of folks who ordinarily would be included in a discussion chain on a national security matter, such as a planned strike on the Houthis. They didn't use what they call the high side. In my day, NiperNet and CyberNet and all these other communications apps that are available inside of a classified internet, a classified private government internet, to explain it as simply as I can. They use Signal. I love Signal. I use Signal. I'm a fan of Signal. Signal is as cryptographically robust as almost anything you're going to get as a civilian. Probably a lot more cryptographically robust than a lot of things that are out there being sold as better solutions. But they were planning military operations on Signal. This demands a congressional investigation. This demands a legal investigation. If we had a Department of Justice that functioned, every one of these men would right now be under investigation by the FBI. This is a massive counterintelligence breach. It's massive. This is a massive counterintelligence brief that Congress, that the intelligence committees of both House and Senate, and the oversight committees of both the House and the Senate, and the defense committees of both the House and the Senate must take up. Democrats, if you're listening, and I know some of you are, you have a point here by which to drag these sons of bitches over hot lava. You have a point here to show that the party that claims they're all for national security isn't. You have a point here where you can say that the Congress is an equal branch of government and demands its role in seeking accountability for the absolutely enormous security breach that these idiots engaged in. I seem to recall 8 years of Republican-led hearings about Hillary Clinton and her private email server, which she ought not have done, by the way. But the lurid nature of their descriptions of everything on that server was bullshit. Nothing prosecutable, nothing that rose to the level where it deserved something like 800 hours of congressional hearings. But here's where you're going to get a good example of the lie of oversight in the Republican Party today, in the MAGA Party today. Nothing will happen because of this. Nothing at all will happen. You will find a profound disinterest on the part of the House Oversight Committee, the Senate Government Affairs Committee. You will find a profound disinterest in the intelligence committees on both sides, of the defense committees on both sides. No one will give a shit in the Republican Party. No one will care. They will scream about Hillary's email server. They will scream about every other imaginary national security item in their portfolio of imaginary demons. What about Burisma? What about Hunter Biden in China? All of it's bullshit, and they know it. But when you have a real case presented to them, like this case is right now, and also like Elon Musk last week getting briefed on our war plan for China, which was I'm on a chain of a bunch of former military and intelligence folks, and we don't discuss anything classified because we all follow the law. We know what we're doing. And the reaction to this is just absolutely shocking. A senior intelligence official wrote a comment. He said, if any of us had done this, we'd go to jail. If any of us had leaked this kind of information over a non-secure app, we'd go to jail. They were planning a U.S. military strike against the Houthis on a open source communications app. They were doing it on their phones. Who knows where they were doing this? Were they doing it in a skiff? I doubt it. If you're using your phone, you're not in a skiff by definition, because you can't take your phone into a skiff. You leave it outside in a little locker. So Pete Hegseth and Mike Waltz and J.D. Vance and all these other monkeys are on this chain. And they're discussing back and forth the political ramifications of it. They're discussing back and forth the timing of it. They're discussing back and forth all the things you would do inside the classified systems that exist for your use. Why aren't they using those classified systems? I can tell you right now. Because the Presidential Records Act, they don't like. Because the Federal Records Act, they don't like. They don't like the fact that they would be held to the same standard of accounting to history and to Congress for their actions that every other administration, Republican or Democrat, has said, I don't like this, but I'm going to do it. The hypocrisy here of these people is staggering. The illegality of it is apparent. But I want you to think about one other thing that's more important than that. They're using their private cell phones. They're using their private cell phones. Google Salt Typhoon, and you'll see that the Chinese have been inside the private cell phone networks in this country for some time now. If you don't think the Russian intelligence services have a similar capability, you would be deluding yourself. If you don't think even the Iranians or the Chinese don't have a similar capability, you're deluding yourself. So they're using their private cell phones, even though it's an encrypted app, talking back and forth to one another. And if you don't think that the Chinese or anyone else could derive, using the metadata of these phones communicating with each other and the networks those phones are communicating out beyond that, derive what they're discussing and what's happening, you haven't paid much attention to how the national security agencies of every nation work. Why does this piss me off? Is it because they're not following the rules? No, it pisses me off because it puts the lives of men and women in uniform in danger. It pisses me off because that young man or that young woman who has to take off from the deck of an aircraft carrier in their F-18 to go drop bombs on bad guys, there's a real possibility that because these people don't use the secured systems that taxpayers have paid for and that work very well, that's going to get exposed to somebody. So what happens when the Russians tell the Iranians, hey, by the way, there's going to be a flight of four F-18s coming off the deck of aircraft carrier X at position Y at time certain. Make sure you're tuned up and ready to roll when they get over you with your anti-air systems. What happens when we deploy some tier 1 special operations unit into Yemen to go blow up some target that the Houthis have, or to eliminate it, or to do something else? And these fuckers have been talking about it on vulnerable communications platforms. The U.S. has the best signals intelligence interception capabilities in the world by an order of magnitude. We know a lot of things about a lot of people. You know how Bin Laden got away? Didn't have a cell phone. That's how he lived all those years. He didn't use a cell phone. He figured it out. Commercial cellular phone networks are inherently vulnerable. And it's not that these people don't know that. They know that. It's not that they don't understand that. They understand that. They just don't give a shit about the safety and security of American men and women in uniform. They don't give a shit about the security of our intelligence systems. They don't give a shit about the information that has to be handled at a high level by responsible people every day. They're here for the show. Even inside their own chat, you've got Pete Hegseth sucking Trump's ass. Oh, the Mar-a-Lago team did such a good job. Go fuck yourself, Pete. Look, they don't give a fuck about the security of this country. They don't give a fuck about the security of our troops. They don't give a fuck about the security of our intelligence sources and methods or systems. They don't give a fuck about America. They care about Donald Trump. So when Pete Hegseth is patting himself and the rest of these guys on the back in this Signal chat, all I could think of is just go fuck yourself, man. You claim to be this big advocate for the warfighter and the soldier and the soldier, and yet you're willing to put their lives at risk. Not in the way that a SecDef has to do every single day, but in the callous and casual and cavalier bullshit of not following the simplest rules of intelligence operational security. By the way, also, if this is Pete Hegseth sober, which I don't honestly believe it is, but if this is Pete Hegseth sober, dear God, we do not want to see what happens to national security secrets when he gets 3 sheets to the wind. Hey, folks, we will be having a big town hall tomorrow night. It is on the Lincoln Project's feed. You can check out all the information there. It's going to be a big discussion of where we are as a country right now, what we're doing politically to try to reshape the battlefield. I will have a special announcement about Elon Musk during the course of that. You'll enjoy it, I hope. But anyway, we check out the link to that. I'll have them put a link at the end of this video so you guys can sign up for the town hall. Should be fun. See you tomorrow night.